Hello, good morning, friends. This is Cody Cox with Bridge City Factors, and it's a beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest here on, well, I guess yesterday was the longest day of the year, wasn't it? Summer solstice, yesterday, the first full day of summer. So here we go. Things are going to get hot here. But anyway, hey, I'm just coming to you today because I was thinking about how I love it when a plan comes together. And of course, this is probably going to date me just a little bit. That there used to be a TV show back when I guess I was growing up called the A Team, and George Papard would always one of his catchphrases during that show was, "I love it when a plan comes together." And it got me thinking about how that's similar to what it is being a fund manager for a mortgage note fund. Is that, yeah, I do love it when a plan comes together. And one of the things that we do as a fund manager is when we go into dealing and managing a group of assets, we generally have a plan on how to process that asset. And it's called an exit strategy, is you want to go into this with the end in mind, have an exit strategy on each individual asset, but also as an asset uh, individually. And so although you have a plan and an exit strategy in mind, not often does it always come out that way. So, what I like to think as a fund manager is that not only do I have one exit strategy, which probably the primary exit strategy, but have two or three, maybe four other ones that are available to you on a specific individual asset. Uh, Let me give you a case in point. In fact, before I do that, I was thinking also, it also made me remember that, several weeks ago, I did a video that talked about one of the advantages of the note fund is that you spread risk of individual funds over the whole portfolio. So if you have 20 loans, 25 loans in your portfolio, and one of them goes sideways, that the rest of them can carry that. And for all intents and purposes, that remains true. However, things change when the portfolio shrinks. When you have three or four or five loans in a portfolio, such as we are as we're winding down our first fund here, when one of those goes sideways, it does put some additional stress on the entire portfolio. So we have one asset that we have held for far too long. It was one that was up in Michigan, the state of Michigan. When we bought the loan, it was performing fairly well. There's a couple hiccups along the way, and we got it for the right price. But it seems to me that as soon as that loan transferred in our name and the borrower received a welcome letter saying there's a change of ownership on the note, that they just quit paying. And so, after 4, 5, 6 months, we decided to take action, and we unfortunately had to go through a foreclosure process. And this was a decent house at the time, but over the course of time, it looked like the borrower had tried to do some remodel and kind of decided, I'm not going to do this, especially since I'm behind on my payments. I'm probably going to lose it anyway. So they just quit, vacated the house. And so we took it back as an REO, which stands for real estate owned. We went into title to the property as owners of the property, which I don't like my fund being entitled to properties. I'd prefer to do something else and not make that, kind of public, the fund as being the title holder. But we had to do it. We have to do it from time to time. And so with that, we listed the house with an agent, and didn't look like anything was going on. The house was kind of in a rural part, maybe 50, 75 miles away from any metropolitan area. Uh, and finally, that fell through. We never got any real offers. Now we have a new agent on this, and he's given us three or four offers, and most of those has fallen through, except for this most recent one. We were actually selling this particular property to somebody who eventually will fix it up and use it as a rental property, which I think is perfect for this house. But they forgot to do something on an inspection and found out that there was some issues with the plumbing. And so they came back to me just late last week with a counter offer that I was not too thrilled with, to say the least. We'd made some plans, took it off the market. It was supposed to close basically this coming Friday. We were going to carry some paper on that, which means we were providing owner financing. But they decided they wanted to come back to me and make an absurd counter offer way late in the game. And so this is where I had to think about some things and come up with some alternative exit strategies. So I took what they gave me and came up with three different options for them. And that's what what you hire a fund manager to do. And that is to come up with options that would be able to liquidate for the benefit of the fund. And so one of the other videos I talked about is conflicting interests, right? You have an interest here that conflicts with maybe the interest here. And because this is a fund, your primary interest is towards your investors, but there's also borrowers underneath this in most loans. This one here, there wasn't because we'd already foreclosed upon it. So I gave them three options, and they took one. One of the options they took was rather than us carrying any sort of financing, they were just going to pay us off in cash. I did take a little bit of a hit on that, but it's better at this point due to the concept of velocity of money to go ahead and just sell it to them cash, pay off any sort of liabilities we may still have on that property, and close and bring that capital back to the fund. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, that even though you have a plan in mind, you love it when those plans do come together. As a fund manager, you have to be nimble enough to think of alternative endings to a saga like this, alternative endings to liquidating an asset. And I think we did this pretty well. And that's what you get when you work with Bridge City Factors and invest in our fund. So if you're an accredited investor, you like maybe some of the things I'm talking about and want to find out more about myself or about what our fund does, then by all means, contact me. Again, Cody Cox with Bridge City Factors. Thank you very much and happy investing.